I'm Myke Shrews,
I'm Tivis,
and you're listening to
the Munster Cast.
episode 5. Again, welcome back, everybody. I am Myke Shrews here with my co-host Tivis, and you're listening to the
The
Munster
Munster Cast.
We're gonna get that down one of these days. The podcast where we watch different episodes, watch through the episodes of the Munsters, movies, TV shows, whatever monster related items there may be that we come across. And discuss what we think about the show or content or whatever it is. And yeah, so without further ado, let's get into it. Tivis, you want to start us off?
Yeah, there's a couple things I want to talk about before we actually dive into the first episode we're going to talk about this week. So I'm going to pull back the veil for the first time. We're 5 in now. I think it's safe to say we're recording these a little early. And so it's still mid-October for us. And I'm watching Halloween specials. I just got to the season 5 of George Lopez with their Halloween. And they recreated Leave It to Beaver, the Munsters, and Jetsons. And you just watched the Munsters clip before we started this. Yeah. They faithfully recreated all of these. Like, I don't know who was in charge of putting this together, but they are clearly fans of all 3 of these shows.
Yeah, this one for the Munsters clip that I just watched, it's very reminiscent of what episode was it? When Herman, it was episode 4? No. I believe it was episode 4 with Dr. Dudley.
Yeah, they even bring him back.
Yeah.
Same actor and everything.
Wait, what do you mean?
That was the same guy who played him in the Monsters was in that George Lopez show.
Oh, Leslie Jordan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Templeton from Charlotte's Web.
Yeah. Yeah, Leslie Jordan's just awesome. I like him in a lot of stuff. I was gonna say, yeah, like he does a really good job of staying with the same character. They do the whole no glasses thing. Here's the glasses again, and it was awesome to see him do that. I believe it was episode 4 where we first saw Dr. Dudley, correct? Or was it?
I believe so. My stuff's not opening up fast enough because I blue screened before we started recording. So yay.
Right.
Yeah. George laughs a little too much, I think, but I mean, when you get a chance to play Herman Monster, why wouldn't you?
Right.
But all of them played the cast really well.
Yeah, and the makeup they put on George's mom in that episode.
Yeah, she was Grandpa.
It was actually really good in comparison to the original makeup. It was really cool.
And she got a lot of Al Lewis's mannerisms down really well.
Yeah. It goes to show too, like you can watch these characters from the George Lopez show portray these characters from the Munsters from the 60s, and you can be like, yeah, I can actually see these specific character traits within those characters already built in. So it's like, that I would think that the Munsters set precedents for a lot of character tropes and things like that,
Oh yeah.
Especially within the sitcom world. Yeah, because I mean, how many other freaking sitcoms have done like with this George Lopez episode, it was dealing with him wanting to or not wanting to have a physical done for life insurance. But how many other sitcoms have done the similar thing? Whereas with the Munsters, we had already in the previous episodes, Herman didn't want to go on a diet. Was that what it was? Or no, he wanted to go on the diet, but he didn't want to see the doctor afterwards because the doctor had fainted and stuff like that. They had said.
Yeah. And his first appearance was episode 4, where Herman thinks Lily is pregnant.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Um, do you got anything else on the Lopez thing?
No, other than it's just a fantastic show that that's what I'm gonna have to revisit.
Yeah.
Because I'm also doing a watch through of just sitcoms in general
Okay.
on the side as well. So I'm starting early on. I'm only in 87, starting Full House and all that, but that's not this show. Uh, the other thing I want to do is uh, we do another show called Operation Babel, and on that I've mentioned that I'm a huge fan of something wrong.
Okay. You can keep going. It
All
just
right.
wasn't showing
On
there.
that I mentioned I'm a huge fan of Comic Geek Speak, and we actually had one of their hosts on that show a couple weeks ago. Well, in that group, I was just, uh, mentioning that we're starting this show because a lot of them are similar to us. We love these old shows, and I thought they
Hmm.
might find it interesting. And one of the members, Lynn Workman, a phenomenal artist, was sharing some of his drawings and paintings and I think drawing's the wrong word, but I'm not an
Sketches.
artist. Yes, thank you.
Is yeah.
And so I wanted to give him a shout out. He's got a website, linworks.com. Uh,
Okay.
so yeah, phenomenal artist. Was even so kind to share a picture of him with uh, Butch Patrick by the Patrick's monster coach, which I thought was really cool.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Okay. Oh, he's sorry. Um. So, do you want to get into episode 8
8.
now? Awesome.
Yeah. This one's titled Herman the Great, season 1, episode 8, because I have to start putting these down. We're so far in, my goldfish memory is failing me. Uh, this aired November 12th, 1964. And as this comes out, we have just passed the 57th anniversary of this episode.
Mhm.
This is another one written by Joe Connolly, Bob Mosier, and Norm Liebman. And this is directed by Early Bellamy, I believe is how you pronounce that, who did the last episode we talked about as well.
Okay. Okay. Cool. So, episode or the Tin Can Man was the last one we had discussed.
Yep.
So people remember. So Herman the Great, the synopsis goes, as Tivis said, November 12th, 1964. After Herman decides he must start to put some money aside for Eddie's college education, he takes a job as a professional wrestler called the Masked Marvel. After he demonstrates his superhuman strength for Eddie's friend, the son of a pro wrestling manager. And this, I feel, resonates with me and you too, also being fans of pro wrestling.
Yes. Oh,
um,
yeah.
so do you want to start off with this, man, or you want me to go, or
All right. Well, this one opens up with Herman bending a bar into a pretzel for who I thought was Elmer at first, but no, this is a new kid,
yeah,
Wilmer, who is definitely not the one they were babysitting.
yeah, yeah, they just bring in new kids all the time for Eddie to be, and every
Yeah.
kid loves like his parents.
I mean,
They
who
think-
wouldn't?
that's the glory. Like, it's, I don't know if it was an undertone that they meant to put into the show, because within the show they do a lot of you know, appreciate people for who they are, not for what they look like, shit like that. I wonder if it was like a light undertone showing, kids actually do that automatically. It's
Mhm.
not until they're trained to not do that that it's
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, it's been a staple in a lot of these, for lack of a better term, cheesy stories, even up until the 90s. I just watched an episode of Power Rangers Zeo where the Christmas was saved by the innocence of a child.
Yeah, yeah. But although, like, Herman thinks everyone's ugly if they're not like dead, so that's a whole nother
Yeah, well,
counterproductive there. But
and as per usual, we're introduced to an actual normal problem that everyone has to deal with, which is Herman needs to go hold the car up so Grandpa can fix it. The car's broke down.
he needs to hold it up to change the tire. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Like they haven't heard of Jax.
Well, why use one when you got someone who can lift it?
True. Yeah, he's not doing anything else. So within this one though, they are trying to raise money for Eddie to go to college already. And what grade is Eddie in now? He's probably in
I
like
don't.
junior high-ish grade, or like fourth, fifth, sixth
Junior
grade, some
high.
shit.
Yeah, I was gonna say he
Six, something
looks
like that.
elementary to me, but
Yeah,
then again, I always get kids' ages wrong. I don't have any, so
yeah. So I, well, yeah, that's another thing. We'll talk about that later.
Wilmer goes home and shows the bar to his dad, who runs a wrestling promotion.
I'm curious how they got the bar there because the Wilmer's dad couldn't even pick it up. So,
The kid's stronger than he is. The strength of youth.
but yes, he does run a wrestling promotion there. And it's 60s wrestling promotion where this is the point in time where pro wrestling was more like I don't know how to say it without being I don't know.
I would say that this would. Oh, excuse me. Sorry about that. This is a lot of people can say this is like the golden era of wrestling because this is where it was getting really big promotions.
Right.
We're getting TV deals left and right. TV helped wrestling's popularity a lot. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah. And but they did a very nice job within this episode for the 60s especially to not necessarily just go out and say pro wrestling is fake.
Yeah.
Pro wrestling also, by the way,
There's
is
some
not
stuff
fake.
later on that
But
I'm like, oh, these guys were lucky they didn't, because a lot of promotion runners, they were not great people.
oh yeah. I'm curious if some of the guys that they used as the wrestlers were wrestlers back in the 60s. Because you got to think,
Well,
like, this is the time of what? Was it?
I can answer
Julius?
that for one of them for
Okay.
sure,
Okay.
but we'll get to that. So.
All right.
There's a great joke. We cut to them in the kitchen, and Lily's complaining about how making Chinese tea and some kind of Russian thingamabob. I'm not a tea drinker.
Okay.
It never goes correctly. Then Herman is reading Tomb and Garden again, so it's probably just a prop laying around. But I appreciate the continuity. And begins talking about how important it is to save for Eddie's college because, they're great parents and they care about their kid.
Mm. Yeah. It's interesting though because it's an issue that a lot of parents overlook, I would say nowadays, of preparing kids for college. As Tivis, like, I love that I look.
Yeah.
I know my parents didn't even think about that. Maybe they should have watched this episode. Uh,
Yeah.
but they also had 100 kids, so but yeah, it is an issue that a lot of people overlook, and I like that they touched on it a little bit. Of course, this was like early 60s when they did it, so they were still coming out of that 50 era where, like, the dad worked, the mom stayed home, and the kids went to school and blah 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 blah. So I understand why they did it, but I would like to see that more often in shows nowadays, by the way. Like, teach people some financial responsibility. Just because they're your kids right now doesn't mean you don't have any responsibility for them later in life too.
Mhm. Yeah, and college isn't the only option. People,
Oh yeah.
trade schools are very much viable and a lot more practical. Because how many of us have a degree that is absolutely useless?
Or YouTube. YouTube's a viable option too. Get
Yeah,
that
yeah,
clout
if they're
chasers.
entertaining enough.
Anyways, before we get off on a tangent there. um so yeah, where are we exactly?
Grandpa mentions that it's always good to have stuff buried around, which once again, Grandpa has definitely killed people. And
Hmm.
I mean, we had a comment a couple episodes ago. There's people around the yard, aren't it? Definitely.
Yeah, because he mentions multiple times that you have to dig them up. Um, so after what is the kid's name again? Because they
Wilmer,
all
I
sound
think.
alike. Wilmer. Okay.
I
Um,
think.
so after he drops off the thing to his dad, and his dad gets the wrestling promotion signed up and all that stuff. Uh, and
Oh, we do get this
they,
little fact about Herman before that. Uh, he
he
went to Hilderberg University, the medical uh, field for 6 years
mhm,
in different jars.
yeah, which is
And,
a real university.
and then Grandpa mentions the phone. He's like, "What?
Yeah, this is
The
what I
phone's
wanted to
about to
get
ring."
to. He was like, the phone's gonna ring. I was like, wait. So is
So go
grandpa now
answer it.
psychic?
Yeah, he can see the future. And I love the look that Herman gives him. Like, why didn't you just go answer it?
Yeah. So the Hildeberg University, also known as Hildeberg College, was founded in 1850. It was founded in 1850. So Herman's not that old if he was still in pieces and jars there.
Which is it the next one or one of these coming up mentions, how old he actually is finally.
Okay. Um Yeah, I've been like just trying to track it. But grandpa's just totally OP still. Now that he has telekinesis, he has uh
Foresight.
premonitions.
Yeah, the phone rings, and my thought at this point is this thing has to be a pain in the ass to answer every time because you got to pull that rope, the wall opens up, the thing comes out.
It's a
Like,
coffin. The coffin
yeah,
pulls out and then opens up. And I just
it's
noticed
such
it
a
was a
pain.
coffin the other day or yesterday when I was watching. I was like, that's a coffin. At first I just thought it was the wall opening. Yeah.
So Wilmer finally propositions Herman. Uh, he offers him.
Make it sound so dirty.
Oh yeah, I actually did that on purpose. He offers him like $300 a week, which is today accounted for inflation. It's about $2,647.
Mm. And that's not even if he wins. That's just period, right? Just
Yeah,
showing up.
I don't know because then we get comments later on that makes me
Right.
question that.
Right. I was curious. I was like, so is Herman actually even making money? Like, yeah, that's yeah.
Lillian comments that they're having trouble paying for the house as well,
Hmm.
which I'm like, it makes sense watching these because Herman freaking destroys everything every other episode. Uh,
Yeah.
he's constantly getting repairs. Yeah, your money's gonna be tied up, but uh, he takes the job and he gets the name they're gonna give him. He doesn't want to be seen doing that because wrestling even back then as it was getting popular was kind of a low brow. So he's like, well, we could put a mask on you and call you the Masked Marvel.
Mm. Yeah, the wrestling didn't really pick up until the 70s pretty much to get a little
Yeah,
bit
this
more
is where
hype.
it's starting to snowball. All the territories. Because anyone who's not a fan of it probably has heard of WWE. Well, back like not even that long ago, like 30, 40 years, WWE, all the stuff they own was actually broken up into different areas of the US, and each one was controlled by a different organization.
Yeah, they were different territories
Yeah.
until Vince McMahon decided to, kind of screw the
Unify them.
wrestling industry.
Yeah. I was going to be nice about it, but I don't know
Why?
why.
He's not
Vin
nice
Diesel.
about it.
Yeah. Uh, let's see. Uh, yeah, Herman says he needs to go and start getting back into shape, and this throws Wilmer's dad, who I have not written down his name for some reason. It throws him into a bit of confusion because he's a guy that can bend steel has to go get in shape.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a weird I don't know. I want to go back real quick
Yeah.
because I didn't believe you and I knew I was right.
What?
um on the Munsters thing where Leslie Jordan is playing the doctor, basically Dr. Dudley.
Yeah.
Leslie Jordan didn't play him in the show. That was Paul Lynde.
Oh, yeah.
I was gonna say Leslie Jordan's not that old to where he would have been able to uh play him. And he's only like 4'11". So he would have looked like Eddie size next to Munster. Yeah, because he was born in 55. There's no way that was him in the show, dude.
Oh. Well,
But
damn, he
it's a
did such a
very
good job.
good
Yeah.
job. Yes, I will say that. I just wanted to point that out before somebody in the audience goes,
No,
that's
that's
not the
perfectly
right.
fine. Hey, if I ever make a mistake, we have an email address. If you don't want to comment, please correct me. I will. I am very much fallible, and I am horrible with names,
But if we're
especially
saying,
actors.
but if we're speculating something that's like shown out in the future, don't be like, no, that's not what fucking goes on. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
don't-
No spoilers, please.
but yeah, the email address is themunstercast@outlook.com if anyone wants to hit us up on there. But yeah, I wanted to point that out because I was like, wait, that's not right.
No, no,
Leslie
no. I
Jordan's not that
appreciate
old.
that. I'm so
I'm sorry
bad.
for
I didn't
interrupting
bother
the
looking
show.
it up either, so that's my fault.
Yeah, so let's get away from like the WWE shit and just go
Yeah.
into
Well, Herman throws Eddie through the ceiling.
yes. Uh, and he never comes down.
No, he comes down this time.
Oh yeah, this time he does. Yeah, yeah. It's the next.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Later on, he might be living on the moon. I'm not sure.
All right. And then so he has a nighttime job now, and we're working through his night job, and nobody knows what his night job is, except for Grandpa, because Grandpa
Before that, yeah, Grandpa sneaks up on him while he's training in the basement
and he thinks he's Igor
or
and
the
it's
lab.
actually
Grandpa.
Yeah.
Yeah, Grandpa mentions something about night work as well. Once again, Grandpa's kill people. This is
Yeah. There's
Grandpa's
only one good kind of night work. And he keeps mentioning the old country. I love that.
Yeah.
Back in the old country, I used to do this, and this.
I want to point out that Herman is wearing a Transylvania Olympic shirt from 1841, but the Olympics were established. The first games were in 1896. So does that mean that Herman
maybe
and
the Transylvania ones were.
That's what I was going to say. Did they establish the Olympics before they became popular? I mean, I know it's a Greek thing, but the modern day Olympics. Let's go with that. Historian.
Let's just say, well, Grandpa was from the old country, and he clearly knows the future. So maybe he just made it ahead of time.
Yeah. Did you happen to see the book that Herman was reading? What it was called?
No, I couldn't see the name of it. So
Method Wrestling.
Method Wrestling. That's right.
Yeah, it's just more than likely a play on method acting.
Yeah. Which he
Then he,
doesn't really have to do anything. Like they basically treat him when so let's get into the ring stuff a little bit.
all right.
So like when he's in the ring, they basically treat him like he's like the great Khali. He's just a big brooding guy who, pushes people around, and that's he doesn't really do anything. Um
Can I say with his mask on, he looks like a villain from one of your slasher films?
oh yeah, with the mask on, if he only had one eye hole, he would totally be Jason from Friday the 13th part 2.
And Grandpa promised not to tell the family, but he just goes into the living room where they're all sitting. He's like, "Hey, so I'm gonna watch wrestling for no reason."
Yeah. And they all sit there and watch it with him.
Oh yeah, no, this is like when I. This is how I got my mother-in-law and wife into wrestling. I just started watching it, and they just got hooked. It's that quick. It's an addicting thing until you realize a lot of the people in it suck. Uh, can I just say that the move Herman does when he grabs forget the name of his opponent, Tarzan, uh, in the corner. It was a terrible botch. Whoever was actually doing, if this was,
When he
the
slams him into the turnbuckle.
where he's like picking him up, trying to, yeah,
Yeah.
he doesn't. He's not good. He could have seriously hurt.
I think that's kind of the point, though. I think they purposefully made it like that because he's not trained in any way.
Yeah,
Hitting a boxing punching bag is not the same as training professionally wrestling.
I think this is before the whole "don't try this at home" thing, but yeah, it could be. Yeah. So it looks like Herman has killed Tarzan, and then out of nowhere he gets up and takes down Herman.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the family starts like, "Yeah, all right, the big guy is like a big brute. Beat him."
Yeah. And
Oh,
and then they keep making fun of how he lost too.
yeah,
It's like,
over and
oh,
over.
he's just a big dummy.
Um, and I think goes with the whole. There's a lot of lessons in this show about not judging a book by its cover,
Yeah.
and this is one of them, obviously. But it turns out Herman is he's too nice. He allowed Tarzan to win because he needed the money for his family.
Yeah. He gave him some sob story while he was in the ring. We don't hear that one
No,
at all.
we get a montage later of a bunch of different.
Yeah. So we end up getting a montage of them and of just a bunch of different guys being like, "Oh, if I win this, or if I don't win this, I'm gonna have to, sell my house, or my wife won't be able to get
Mhm.
this," and all these
And
random ass things.
this is, I'm shocked they did this because this is actually something wrestlers do. They
Yeah.
in order to give a good performance, because I mean we all know by now it's predetermined. They're just putting on a great show for people to enjoy. And they do this kind of communication in the ring all the time. And I'm shocked that they aired this with how protective they were, because I mean they pretended that this was a legit fighting sport until 90s, and even then it wasn't even until the millennium that it started getting out around.
Yeah. It was around the time where they did like what was it, the masked wrestler guy did that one show where he like revealed a lot of wrestling secrets and shit.
Yeah,
Kind
the
of like
late
we had
night.
the masked magician or some shit that did the same thing.
Mhm.
Yeah. I wonder who
It
that
was the masked Marvel.
I wonder who that wrestler was. Like how much, if their
Oh,
name
they better
ever
never
came
reveal
out.
themselves.
Right.
Anyone who is mildly interested in wrestling, go watch Dark Side of the Ring. You'll understand why we're making some of these comments.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we go to breakfast, and the family is still making fun of the masked Marvel with Herman in front of Herman.
Uh,
Like, oh,
yeah, and he's just sitting there taking it too. Because what else can he do? He doesn't want to tell his family. I'm confused though why he doesn't want to tell his family what he's doing.
probably
Um,
ashamed because, like I said, it was lowbrow, even in the height of
yeah,
popularity.
I guess so. But I mean, you got to do what you got to do for your family.
Yeah.
That should have been the moral of this story right here. You do what you got to do for your family, whether you like it or not. Um,
Yep.
well, besides like illegal stuff.
Oh yeah,
Let's
yeah.
put
No, don't
that
do
out
anything
there.
illegal. We're not condoning that. If you get in trouble, it's your own fault, not ours. We didn't suggest it.
What he
Little
said.
legal ass covering.
Yeah.
Uh, so Herman keeps losing, and they mention that the crowd is getting tired of booing him.
Right.
So he's offering $50 a minute for anyone who can last against Herman.
Which
I don't understand.
I do gotta say though, it's a legit thing for people. Like, I guess back in the '60s, they didn't really know it now as we know nowadays. But like, sometimes we do get annoyed with having the same bad guy, or
Oh
booing the
yeah,
same
current day
people
wrestling.
over and over. So it's not a far-fetched thing to believe, hey, they're just bored of.
And even outside of wrestling, I'm sure everyone can get, there's people who are tired of seeing the Joker and everything. I was just listening to some people talk about going back to comics, uh the Batman Who Laughs, who is an evil Joker Batman who is in a lot of things recently. They're getting real tired of seeing him, and some things can
Looks
be
so cool
overused.
though, man.
Yeah. I don't understand why. What is the whole? What is in this for Herman? It like
Right.
offers people 50 minutes, $50 a minute to make the matches last longer, I guess. But what does is the incentive that Herman will lose that money per minute if he doesn't win quickly? That this isn't stated, but I don't see why Herman would care.
I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure because it's not like you get $50 a minute to win the match. You just have to
Yeah.
stay in the match. So even if you lose, you get the money to anybody who can stay, every minute you're in the ring with him. Which, they did promotions like this a lot back in the day. They would bring in, ringers and shit like that, and just to get the crowd going and stuff. Which we actually end up finding out that the guy who ends up going in there is a
Yeah,
ringer.
we get a
Um,
Strangler Murphy talking to his manager,
yeah.
who
This is funny. This is okay.
they have
Go to this one.
they have a plan to win because they've done this plan before. They're going to drop some sleeping pills into Herman's water, which is oof, just referencing Dark Side of the Ring, a very touchy subject right now. They
As
they
soon as I
mentioned
saw
that
the
they've
wrestling aspect of this, I was like, oh, we're gonna talk about this one for a minute.
yeah. So they mentioned that they've done this to past people, and the Strangler suddenly goes, "Isn't this dishonest?" He goes, in my head, I'm like, "You've done this before, and now you're asking this."
Well, the cameras weren't on before. Duh.
What is it? I think he says he's going to put enough sleeping pills to drop an elephant.
Yeah. Well, before that though, the strangler says, is this not? Isn't this unethical, basically? Or he uses a more layman term, dishonest, right? I think is what you
Yeah,
said.
yeah,
And and uh, the guy goes, yeah, but it's $50 a minute. he's like, oh, I don't even take my question back, or I forget the
yeah.
exact verbiage that he said, but that's basically, he's like, I take it back. I
I
take my
retract
question.
my.
Yeah. But yeah,
Uh,
so then we get into then it just jumps to that scene. There's not much between that and the
the
actual fight
family is sitting in the living room again. Eddie wants to watch. They're like, "Where's Grandpa?" And then they see Grandpa in the crowd.
in the crowd. Yeah, very
He's like, "Wow, he's really getting into this." The grandpa's sitting next to the Stranglers manager in the crowd, and was it? Who is this guy? Wait, did you say Strangler Murphy? He's no, because apparently this is supposed to be some up and coming rookie, but
mm,
uh, Strangler Murphy was banned from a certain promotion for doing not
his
sanctioned things to
right,
win.
right.
I'm trying to think of words that would uh, jazz up the sentence. He's a bad bloke who got banned. Grandpa's like, Strangler. Oh, that's a pretty cool name.
Right. Um yeah, he ends up going because this was supposed to be a thing just a random person was supposed to be able to do.
Yeah,
And I'm
which
surprised
makes
though
sense
that
because
some of the promotion guy there didn't notice that he's because usually those guys knew a lot of the
yeah, if
wrestlers in
they're
all of their promotions, especially the bigger ones.
uh, infamous name, they recognize him.
Yeah, especially if you're getting banned from one region. I'm pretty sure a lot of the other ones are gonna be like, yeah, no, we're good.
Yeah.
Like, we don't want that shit on our end either.
So we find out. I wasn't expecting the sleeping pills to actually work, but they are.
Me either.
Herman's drowsy.
I wasn't expecting him to do anything to Herman. I just
I expected that to be the gag. Like he's
yeah,
still standing. No, Herman's out, like out of it. He's drunk.
yeah.
uh, Strangler Murphy starts biting Herman's leg, which is an illegal move, by the way. Where that way? Why isn't the
I was
ref
like,
doing anything?
I was like, what are we doing? He's biting what the strangler. No, the fucking biter. That's like what his name should be. Because he was just eating
It,
his calf. Like it's like, what are you
it,
doing, man?
during this, the camera guy picks up on Herman's voice and Lily realizes who it is.
Yeah.
She's mad. The
By the
Marilyn
way,
and Eddie are like, Uncle Herman, get him.
by the way, that wouldn't have happened back in the 60s with their wrestling on TV.
No, they're careful not to catch their voices now.
Yeah. Well, when we do catch the wrestlers' voices in the ring now, it's on purpose. When
Yeah, they're
usually
like yelling.
they're either yelling or they turn the onboard camera mic on so you can hear it lightly in the background. But they
Mhm.
also want to be careful that you don't hear them saying what the next move and shit is, because
Yeah.
that used to be an issue a lot.
Oh
But
yeah.
back in the 60s when they did their promotions and shit, one, you could barely see like
Oh,
what it looked like, and two, you weren't
the
hearing the wrestlers
the
talking in the ring
quality
at
you're
all.
getting in this Munster show. I've watched a lot of like
Uh,
60s wrestling. What survives of it, because
right.
America didn't keep a lot of stuff back then, even though it was considered a sport. That stuff's missing. Uh, and
I mean, you go
well, I
back
shouldn't
to
say America. So we kept a lot more than other countries, but
yeah,
uh, the quality in the Munsters is so much better than whatever camera they're using to do those shows.
yeah.
Uh, Grandpa's gonna kill someone when he finds out, like, hey, wait a minute, this guy is the one who's banned. He does some magic that turns off the light. And at this point, Strangler has like Herman on his shoulders somehow, spinning him, but the light shuts off, comes back on, and now Strangler's on Herman's shoulders.
Yeah. I was very confused was what Grandpa did, was that supposed to uh like wake Herman up?
I don't know, because there's also a fire that starts just out of nowhere. So did Grandpa turn the light off, wake Herman up, and set a fire?
Yeah. I have no idea.
Um,
But he kept
So
the
her
match going anyways, even against the promoter. This is something that would be on the dark side of the ring. Oh yeah, there's a fire like in the arena,
yeah,
but
didn't he
we're
say
gonna.
lock the fire doors too?
Yeah, he's just like lock the doors until the match is over.
Uh, so Herman throws the strangler with such a force that breaks all four of the poles holding the ropes up. Uh, and finally, the promoter's like, "Hey, let people know there's a fire, so we don't get sued."
Yeah, let them
So
or get them out, evacuate the people, please.
yeah, Herman decides the best way to do that is to take his mask off to yell. Uh, in doing so, he breaks some guy's glasses. Uh, a bunch of hair does weird stuff, and people just vanish, including the promoter, as before he even gets a chance to yell.
Yeah, he was just out. Everyone was out. um, I don't know if there's much else. So here are the names of the wrestlers that were here: Killer Conklin,
Mhm.
Genghis Cohen, Tarzan McGurk, Crusher Kowalski as J.S. York, Wilbur Ramsey as Teddy Eclase. Wait, as Teddy. That's the actual guy's name.
Yeah,
Wilbur
Ted.
Ramsey, Duke Ramsey, and I think that's it. So Mr. Hansen was the promoter, correct?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, he was totally Vince McMahon.
Oh god, yeah. Which is a
Anything to
scary
get the
thing because
audience.
Vince didn't exist back. Well, I mean, he did, but he was like a kid. Uh,
Yeah.
I'm just quick checking when he was born, real quick.
Oh, he was alive then. Jerry the King
Yeah,
Lawler was
yeah, he
alive back
came
then.
out as a
Yeah.
commentator in 1969. So yeah,
Yeah.
so he's like a teenager.
Damn, he was a commentator in 69?
Yeah.
When did he take over the company? No, that's a whole nother thing. Let's not go
Yeah.
there. All right,
So
so
yeah, the next morning,
yeah,
Grandpa's reading a paper titled "Mockingbird Heights News." I had to go back because I wanted to see all this and see because
yeah.
this show has been amazing with hiding stuff, and I was not disappointed. Did you check out the newspaper at all?
I saw a little bit of it. I didn't like freeze frame or anything like that.
The this he's reading the sports section. The headlines are Evans to drive mystery car. Uh, Jebby defends Mitt Laurels in Go tonight, and there these are referencing excuse me, race car driver Robert Evans
Mm-hmm.
and world champion boxer Ben Derby. So I thought that was great detail, just referencing two more, probably somebody that the either the prop guy or maybe even the writer requested, or maybe even the director. Who knows?
Right. Probably even the actor. Shit. Um.
Herman gets a cash reward from this.
Yes. The fire department gives him a reward too. Was that what I was under the assumption of? Right. They
I
say the fire marshal. Fire marshal.
I don't understand why he got this reward, but I
Um,
do know how much it is worth today.
okay, go ahead. Because it was
Uh,
$1,000 at their time.
yes. Today it would be $8,824 with inflation. So good chunk for Eddie's college. Still
Mhm.
not enough. College will drain you dry and then throw you to the side.
I
Uh,
mean, by the time Eddie would have went to college, though, it would have been the 70s, so maybe not so bad. He just has to worry about that draft.
Speaking of Eddie, he comes out of the cabinet again.
Yeah.
Why is he always in the cabinet?
I don't know. And it's really a question I would like to ask one of the creators or Butch Patrick
Maybe we
himself.
could get Butch on the show, even ask
Yeah.
his opinion.
I would be
Uh,
interested to see like so they just shove you in the cap.
yeah. What was the reasoning for that?
Right.
And this is where Herman throws Eddie who knows where, but that money is not going to college. He's fixing the freaking floors.
Oh, they don't even fix that shit. I think Grandpa magically does that. Why doesn't Grandpa just make money appear too? By the way, like
He does so much stuff. He might have a money laundering business in that basement of his. let's
his
put
own
anything
printing
past him.
press. He probably has his own printing press. He's fucking ancient. He got it. He took it from the old country.
It's in his little spell book for so this is like the blender.
Awesome.
This show is so weird.
So that was episode 8, Herman the Great, the wrestling episode, and I enjoyed it. I really liked it.
Oh,
it
yeah,
gave me a lot of throwbacks to wrestling too. With I was just like, man,
I think as wrestling fans, we definitely got a lot more out of it than
yeah, than some people probably could for sure. So do you want to jump into 9, or do you got any trivia for that episode there? You said
well, you said a lot of them, but some of the guest list on this, John Hubbard as Duke Ramsey,
Yeah.
Joseph Mell as Mr. Hanson, Johnny Silver as Jerry, Billy Varga as the Strangler. None of these guys are wrestlers as far as I could find out. They're mostly stunt or, people that do one-off appearances. Jimmy Lennon Sr., though, he's been a ring announcer for a long time. You'll recognize his voice if you're a fan of the Rocky series. He was in Rocky 3.
Okay.
Tiger Joe Marsh was the referee who got 2 appearances of Lost in Space, and that's mostly it. Matt Murphy as Killer Conklin. The great John L. as Genghis Cohen. That's a great name in itself. I had to get that one out there. Gene LaBelle as Tarzan and McGurk, J.S. York as Crusher Kolowski, and as you said, Ted Eckles as Wilbur Ramsey. Some wrestling facts in 1964. Andre the Giant made his debut at the age of 18 in Paris.
Okay.
Other notable
got drafted then, right?
I don't know the history of Andre, but there's a good chance that guy's life is a tragedy.
I think I thought Vince got him into wrestling.
No, he debuted in Paris.
Okay.
Other notable people who debuted this year, personal favorites of mine, the Bushwhackers.
The Bushwhackers.
Probably for their redneck appearance and reminding me of my favorite Red Green, if anyone's ever seen that show. Rocky Johnson debuted. Thunderbolt Patterson, who was a huge
now wait, for people who don't know, who is Rocky Johnson?
Oh, he is Dwayne The Rock Johnson's father.
There we go.
Thunderbolt Patterson, who was he's a big name in being one of the first people to try and unionize the industry. Ultraman, who is not the Japanese character, but a Mexican wrestler whose name just caught my eye, and Victor Rivera, who, if you're a fan of old school wrestling, you'll know him from NWA or the WWF.
WWW. That was before Vince took it over from his daddy.
Yep, he dropped one W. And the only promotion that I found that had any big pay-per-view events was EMLL, which is huge Mexican promotion. And last time I checked, it was like free to watch on Fight if anyone wants to check it out. They have a no blood policy, so it's pretty kid friendly.
Awesome, man. All right, so do you want to dive into episode 9?
Yeah. Knockwood, Here Comes Charlie. This aired November 19th, written by Norm Liebman and Ed Haas. And this one is directed by Lawrence Dobkin, who played Colonel Gaston Bell in Patton and directed Charlie X of Star Trek.
Dun, dun, dun. Star
I figured
Trek.
you would find that interesting.
What is
What's
Star
that?
Trek? What is Star Trek? No, we're not going down that road. Awesome. So we'll do the synopsis for that. November 19th, 1964. Knockwood, Here Comes Charlie. Herman's twin brother Charlie, a fast-talking con artist, comes to town and ends up staying at the Munsters' home against Herman's wishes and tries to bilk Lily out of the money that was left to her by selling her a worthless invention that separates uranium from seawater. And what the fuck does bilk mean? Because I have never heard that term before. Bilk, obtain or withhold money. Okay, cool. Awesome. So I want to dive in real quick
Yes.
with this one because it you get a twin brother in this already.
Yeah.
And they do a couple scenes where Herman is next to Charlie, his brother.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I was very impressed for the time of that. I mean, Star Trek did the same thing too with the Mirror Universe characters as well back in
Well,
the 60s, but this was
I
really cool to
actually
see as well.
I got a thing on that. I'll go ahead and
Yeah.
just say it now. The identical, people being on screen was extremely popular in the 60s because they figured how to do split screen,
Mhm.
which are yeah, it's called split screen, but basically, you had the same person. Like Bewitched and I Dream of Jeannie or were another two ones that did were had some really popular episodes with this. I actually recommend checking out the I Dream of Jeannie one because it's her playing two characters called Jeannie. So have fun figuring out who's who.
Well, I mean, you also have to remember too, in 1960, it was before this, 1960 or 1961, The Parent Trap dropped. And that was a feature length
Yeah.
film with one of the main character playing both main characters, the main actress I should say playing both main
Mhm.
characters, which is really cool. If people haven't seen that, it is literally the Lindsay Lohan version, just better.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yes, they definitely love doing the doubles up. And then, Full House cheated and, here's some twins. They just
Yeah.
fucking got twins. After a while they started doing twins. There's actually with Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the guy who plays Xander in real life has a twin brother. So whenever they did like a duplicate thing of him where he had to do a
Mhm.
scene with himself, they just had his brother come in and do it with him.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, some interesting things to do with that. I actually was like really impressed though with this one. Maybe it's because it was in black and white and I hadn't seen it very often. So um yeah. Let's
Yeah. This is anyone who's a fan of you know shows from back then. You've probably seen quite a few of these, but I recommend. I mean, they do a good job of giving them contrasting features so you could tell the characters apart as a viewer, but
uh
as a uh, person, you know, uh, in the role trying to do it, uh, I just got to think like when you see the script and you're playing two characters named Genie.
oh yeah. Um so with this one, I like that not only did they dress them two differently, you have Herman and then Charlie was dressed differently as well, but Charlie actually sounded different. They gave him more of like a gentleman's accent, if you would say.
Yeah, he's more sophisticated and uh proper, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah. They try and give him like a southern proper demeanor to himself. I mean, even he freaking has a monocle, dude. Like what?
Yeah.
Why?
So let's go ahead and jump into it. We open with Lily,
Yeah.
Merrill, and Eddie in the kitchen as Herman walks in. Uh, was I have a question? I was watching this one on iTunes again because I still can't figure out where my box set is. Uh,
Okay.
the audio really got quiet on me. Was
Yes,
it the
this
same?
one it was the same. I'm guessing something got messed up in the editing lab or something like that for this episode. Because I had jack the volume up on this episode as well. I was trying to remember which episode it was, but yeah, it was this one where the
Okay.
volume was just very low, um, in there. So it wasn't you. You weren't going
Yeah,
deaf.
right. I was just wondering if it was the digital version that was something went wrong with the conversion or whatever.
No, it was on the discs as well.
Uh, Lily is mad that Herman is late to breakfast for some reason.
Yeah, I'm not
Uh,
sure why.
yeah, Grandpa walks in and makes fun of Herman for cutting himself shaven. Uh,
Just dead skin that shouldn't be growing hair on it anyways, but okay.
yeah, hair continues to grow.
Not after that long from the body being dead.
Look, they live with a magic Dracula who sees the future, uh, who may or may not have put him together. So there's a knock at the door, and Herman tells Meryl that she's dressed badly for some reason, but to go in.
Yeah, I think wasn't she just dressed? She was dressed in like a nightgown, I think.
Yeah, she looked normal to me, but
I don't know. That you're dressed badly, and we don't want to scare him off right before you get chance. Yeah.
so Herman gets up and smacks his head on the chandelier. When he does this, if you look carefully, you can see his headpiece gets revealed.
Okay. Yeah.
That was a little note that I got here. Uh,
I just
Grandpa,
love that Fred Gwynn, every time he does something stupid, like annoying or pissed off, like you see it in Herman's face, and it's awesome.
mhm,
Go on.
uh,
Sorry.
no, you're fine. I just message. Grandpa's reading the Transylvania Gazette again, which again probably just reusing prop, but continuity. Um, Herman then trips on a skateboard on the way to the door. He's clearly having a horrible day. And then, as he answers the door, we meet his twin Charlie, who doesn't even. Oh, Herman doesn't even answer the door. That's right. Charlie just walks
Just
into their
walked up in
house,
there.
which I get was a thing that happened with close family and friends back in the day. I've always been taught, knock first.
He did knock though. He knocked twice.
That's true. That's true. I've just never walked straight into a place. Grandpa has a look on his face that tells me he totally knew Charlie was going to be there.
Yeah. Also, did Grandpa build him too?
That's a good question.
And they're twin brothers, so they must have been made out of the same, like maybe they were
People.
twins that they just dissected.
Oh, opens the door to so many questions. Uh, Lily confirms that it's his twin. Charlie's has a monocle, and I hate it. Uh, and apparently Eddie shrunk. Why did I say that? What was Eddie doing?
Eddie shrunk.
Oh, that's right. He comments about how Eddie was taller last time he seen him.
Oh yeah. I was confused by that. I was like, wait, what? What do they mean?
So he's going through each family member. Let's see. He doesn't know how to talk to Marilyn. He gives Eddie a bat in the box. Lily gets a new shroud. Marilyn gets a frog to give her warts. Once again, she's the ugly duckling of the family, apparently.
Yeah.
And Grandpa gets a cigar boxes and a coffin for putting ashes in. Does Charlie kill people too?
I think it's just a play on words.
Yeah, but he says it weird, like you can hide things in it.
I can totally picture that guy killing people over Herman.
Meanwhile, this entire time, Herman is off screen in the next room on the stairs because he doesn't get along with Charlie and doesn't want to be near it.
Or because the editor wanted to be lazy.
Yes, they're apart a lot.
Yeah.
So when they do eventually meet on screen, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, because you think, oh, it's just gonna be a back and forth or one camera here, one camera there type deal.
Hard cuts.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Okay.
So Charlie has a device after he gives away his gifts. to everybody,
Mhm.
Charlie shows Grandpa this machine that can take seawater and extract or separate uranium from it.
And to test this, he has water from the Atlantic Ocean.
And he does it. And he has a uranium tester.
A Geiger counter.
Yeah.
The
Sorry.
test for radiation. Grandpa wants to go get his, but Charlie's like, no, I have my own, which
Got my own.
red flag immediately to me.
Right.
Charlie, they mentioned somewhere along this conversation that Charlie is Herman's only living relative. So all of his extended family from here on out, we know has to be from Lily's side.
Yeah. Unless they retcon it later.
Yeah, which they probably will.
Okay. Is this the episode where they say how old they are? I don't recall.
No, not
Okay.
this one.
All right. So moving forward then. So we find out Charlie is basically just there to sell this thing.
Yeah.
He needs to sell it. He needs to do something.
Everyone in the family loves him except Herman.
Yeah.
Lily offers for him to stay. Grandpa mentions Charlie got all the personality.
Yeah.
Grandpa's such an asshole.
It really sets precedence for future shows too, with the same gimmick that they do, where the one sibling comes in, the whole family loves them except for the one that's actually related to them by blood. Because they know how shifty they are.
Oh yeah, and Herman even says as much after everyone leaves and Charlie goes to set up his room. He tells Lily, he's like, oh, he couldn't possibly be here because your grandma died again and left you 5,000, which I love the fact that he said again.
Yeah.
Is this Lily's actual grandma? Or is this Lily's mom, or something like
I'm not even gonna question it.
But yeah. So she left him 5,000, which again, we're converting it in today. That's 44,123. I like that 1, 2, 3. And he's like, he couldn't possibly be here to take that money. And then immediately after this, we go to another scene where, oh no, sorry. Grandpa takes offense, overhears this, and is like, I'll show you it's correct. So he takes the machine down to his lab to show everyone that it works. Then we got Marilyn answering a phone from someone who wants to talk to Charlie. He's like, I told my secretary not to tell anyone where I was. Well, we meet his investor who might be part of the mob.
Yeah, I got very mob dealings with them, or some kind of mafia type thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I believe he even calls him his bookie.
Yeah. But he's an investor in a machine that takes water and extracts uranium from it. So maybe this is why you need to look into your investments before.
Here's another goof that they did. While Charlie is on the phone talking to this guy with Lily next to him, if you look on the left side of the staircase, you could see a crewman walk.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in the background.
Nice. Awesome.
Or no, that's not this one. This one, he's just standing in the hallway down there. You can see his leg as he's leaning against one of the tables.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah. It's I rarely see this stuff, so when I actually do see it, I get excited.
Okay. So let's skip around a little bit with this one because I know we're running a little longer today.
Yeah.
Let's go to, all right, so we find out he needs to sell this, and he's there to basically rip his sister-in-law off.
Yeah. But she doesn't even ask. He's like, she's gonna buy it. She's like, oh, I guess I'm gonna buy it.
Yeah, she's gonna buy it for this much because it's a great deal. This is what he's saying to the bookie on the phone to basically car salesman her into
Not
buying
even
this
that. He's just
machine.
stating that she's gonna do it, and she goes along with it.
Yeah. And he says what, $5,000? Is that what it was? Um and which is a great steal or some shit like that. I'm like, what?
So
Because all he actually owes the bookie
it's
is
1,000.
1,000. Yeah.
So
So
Lily goes to get the money. Herman's like, no. He goes to put it in the safe. We cut to Grandpa and Eddie testing the machine. Grandpa thinks he broke it because it's not setting off his counter.
yeah.
And that it's actually sand. We cut back to Herman still putting in the combo. Grandpa fixes it, but it's only making a ton of gold now, which I'm sure Charlie would prefer. We cut back to Herman. Still, he finally gets the combo. Then he breaks the door.
Where does the part come in where he sells it to the
To
neighbor?
the neighbor, that's happening right now.
Okay.
So they talk about how the neighbor was, left an inheritance,
Uh-huh.
and that Lily's going to go bring her some food because Herman's been helping her out since, she's by herself now. And he's like, I'll do it.
Yeah.
So he goes next door. She thinks it's Herman. He doesn't correct her. He's like, hey, buy this thing. She's like, okay.
Yeah. Like he doesn't even really explain what it is though. Like,
No, not really.
and
Why does she want it?
Why do people want uranium either? Even anyways, like I get it's the 60s, whatever, but like a normal household, like what the fuck you gonna do with it? Like, I don't know. It was weird.
Yeah.
Doc Brown
Oh,
could have used that.
Grandpa turns into a bat, and Lily complains that there's ashes on the floor at some point during all this too. So the neighbor's name is Mrs. Cartwright.
Okay.
This is not a neighbor that we've met, I don't think. So they continuing to get new neighbors.
Mhm.
So he takes the money. He tells the Booker mob investor that he's got the money. Herman sends
Theo
Merrill.
Knuckles Kraus
Yeah.
is the guy's name.
Let's see. Herman sends Merrill out to find out if you can extract uranium from water. And it turns out, no, you can't. So Herman finally fixes the safe. No, we don't see that. It's just fixed. The combo is either extremely long or he just can't remember it. So he gets fed up and busts his hand through the wall.
Right. He breaks through the wall to get his money out of the safe because what he's going to do is make things right with his neighbor.
Yeah, he finds out that she was swindled.
Yeah, and then he goes and talks to her, and she doesn't believe that he
He's
has
got
a
a
twin
twin brother.
brother.
Which, fair enough.
I get it.
But she's willing to sell it back to him for $500 more.
Right. Which he ends up doing, and
Yep.
he takes it and goes away, and they're about to destroy.
No,
Said
no.
machine.
Charlie's trying to sneak out without telling anyone, and Grandpa's like, "Hey, I fixed your machine." He's like, "You what now?"
Yes. Yeah.
So he goes and tries to get it back, and she's like, "No, no, no. I already sold it back to you." No, no, no. You didn't. Did you sell it to someone who looks just like me? She's like, "Yes, that'd be my twin brother." And once again, she's like, "Why is he putting on this act?"
Right. He's crazy.
Herman's about to crush this thing. He's like, "Stop, stop, stop. I've learned, protect, be with your family." And Herman says something along the lines of, water is thicker than blood, which
Not
I don't know
true.
if that was a joke or he flubbed it. And so he's like, here's your 5,000. And I'm like, he's actually, out $500 still, but all right. Grandpa mentions that he wasn't done making adjustments earlier in the episode when he's telling Charlie.
Yeah.
So I'm like, this is gonna go bad for him. As he's leaving, he gets into a car. We find and all right. Oh, he also tosses Eddie a coin on his way out. Like, here you go, kid. Grandpa reveals that he fixed it. Herman's like, that son of a bitch.
He swindled me again.
Yeah, he didn't care about us. He just
Yeah.
wants the money. I think that's more of what he's upset about.
Yeah.
And so he gets into the cab, which is a brand new 1964 Ford sedan, by the way. Anyone who knows cars,
Okay.
which is not me. I actually had to look this up.
Well,
Eddie reveals, I got a fake coin.
Yeah, it's a fake coin, but then Charlie's in the car.
The cab driver turns out to be his investor booker mobster.
Leo Knuckles Kraus. That's Knuckles. How about we'll just go with Knuckles?
We're inside the house and we hear an explosion.
Yeah.
So they go out. They look at the wreckage, which is no longer the new Ford sedan, by the way. It's a clunker from the 50s.
With the roof blown off and everything. They
miraculously survive.
The guy should be dead. The human person should be fucking dead.
I honestly thought they weren't going to survive at all. I was like, oh, this is how we never see Charlie again.
You go out there and just see Herman's, like, the Charlie's head laying on the ground. Oh, and then we could have had a whole episode of Grandpa putting him back together with a new heart, and then he wouldn't be so cold-hearted. Boom.
So yeah, that's where the episode just ends pretty much. They're in the smoldering wreckage of the
yeah.
Yeah.
And Herman goes away with all of his monies. Awesome, man.
Minus 500.
Minus 500, yeah. But he has all of his inheritance money. So sorry about rushing that one, guys. We're running a little long here. Any last trivia bits for this episode, dude?
Yeah, the guest stars were Fred Gwynn as Charlie. Gene Willis as Mrs. Cartwright. Yeah. Mike Mazurki as Leo Knuckles Kraus, who has been in Batman, an episode of Batman, and Mr. Ed, which is a show I just wanted to mention because, you know, that's also a good one.
A talking horse.
The title is based on the 1925 song Clap Hands, Here Comes Charlie, which was by Billy Rose, Ballard McDonald, and Joseph Meyer.
Awesome. Which makes sense because here comes Charlie.
I enjoyed this one.
I enjoyed it. I didn't enjoy it 100%.
The wrestling one I got more out of.
Yeah. Out of these two, the wrestling ones definitely I enjoyed more, mostly because of being a wrestling fan and diving deep into the wrestling.
I will say it was really neat to see Charlie and Herman side by side, though, especially back in '64. Like, you could see why so many shows wanted to show this off, because that had to be like, really great.
Yeah.
Like, blowing people's minds back then.
Yeah, especially with these two, they're wearing completely different outfits and shit like that. So it was a nice way to have a twin without. Honestly, it was just a nice way for them to get Fred Gwynn to act in a different way and not pay him extra.
Yeah, they also did that.
So yeah, I mean, as long as you didn't work over a certain amount of time, you didn't get paid extra usually with it. So kind of sucks for them, but it's great for us fans who are watching and liked it and enjoy it. And yeah, I'm interested to see if we do see Charlie come back again or not.
My guess is not, but you never know.
Never know.
They've been pretty good with this show. With
a lot of the fans out there probably already know, but we never know until we get there. I
will say that for an older show, you know, maybe it's just because I used to Power Rangers and the showrunners on that didn't give a crap at all about continuity. I'm really being blown away by how much they're keeping stuff going.
Yeah, and they're constantly building on Grandpa's serial killer tendencies as well.
Oh my god, he's totally
All
Al
right.
Lewis. He's a fantastic actor.
Yeah, he is. Any last thoughts or any last words for this episode, man?
Water's thicker than blood.
Awesome. And with that said, we will catch you next time as we take another stroll down 1313 Mockingbird Lane.
The lesson I want you to learn is it doesn't matter what you look like. You can be tall or short, or fat or thin, or ugly, or handsome, like your father. Or you can be black or yellow or white. It doesn't matter. What does matter is the size of your heart and the strength of your character.